Dark entities are those invisible presences that lurk in the shadows, those unsettling sensations we can't explain. Many people have experienced the feeling of being watched or hearing strange noises in the dark, but few dare to face what might actually be behind these occurrences. Today I'm going to tell you 3 true stories of encounters with these entities, and the scariest part is that these experiences are not products of imagination. The question is, what hides in the shadows? Join me and let's discover it together. A few years ago, I met a man who moved into an old house in a small town. Everything started off quite calmly. The house had a rich history, and at first people spoke highly of its architecture and garden. However, strange things soon began happening. At first it was only small details, a door that wouldn't close properly, strange noises coming from upstairs during the night. But what bothered him most was the coldness he felt every time he climbed the stairs. Sometimes, he would find himself standing in the hallway staring down at the end, feeling like someone was watching him, but there was no one there. One night, he decided to investigate further. As he walked through the house, he saw a dark figure at the end of the hallway. He thought it might have been his own shadow, but when he turned on the light, the figure vanished. He searched the house, but there were no signs of anyone. That's when he began to feel truly terrified. In the following nights, the noises became more frequent, and the worst part was that the doors began to close on their own. The neighbors told him rumors about the house, that it had once been the home of a family that had mysteriously disappeared. No one knew if it was a spirit or if the house had a curse. What was certain is that, after that experience, my friend couldn't stay there much longer. The shadows and strange presences followed him until he finally left the house. He never spoke of it again, but I know that what he went through marked him forever. A few years ago, a friend of mine shared a story that left me chilled. She moved into an old house as part of a renovation project. She didn't care much about the house's history or the legends the neighbors told. At first, everything was fine. However, strange things started to happen. In her bathroom, there was an old mirror she had found in the attic. At first, she didn't think much of it, but soon she began to notice something odd. Every time she looked in the mirror, she saw a shadow that didn't match her reflection. At first, she thought it was just her imagination, maybe due to the light or the worn glass, but over time the shadow became more defined, almost as if it had a life of its own. One night, she decided to face her fear. She walked up to the mirror, touched the glass, and at that moment, the shadow seemed to move, as if it were alive. When she tried to step away, the shadow moved closer, and the figure started to smile, something she would never forget. That night, she saw something more than her reflection, a figure that seemed trapped in the mirror, watching her. It wasn't long before she decided to get rid of the mirror. However, even after removing it from her house, something of that shadow stayed with her for weeks. Every time she closed her eyes, she could feel the presence of something strange surrounding her. She never looked at a mirror the same way again. One of the scariest stories I've heard was from a group of friends who decided to camp in a remote forest. They had heard many legends about the place, tales of strange creatures and inexplicable phenomena, but they didn't pay them much attention. It all started like any other camping trip. They set up their tent, lit a campfire, and told stories. But when night fell, things started to change. One of the guys, named Thomas, decided to explore alone. He left the camp and ventured into the forest without telling anyone. Hours passed, and he didn't return. Worried, his friends began searching for him. Finally, Thomas appeared, but something was wrong. He was pale, sweating cold, and his eyes wide open, as if he had seen something horrible. He said that while walking, he felt like something was following him, as if someone were watching him from the shadows. From a distance, he thought he saw blurred figures between the trees, and as he walked further, those figures seemed to get closer. He heard whispers, but when he looked, he saw no one. Suddenly, he felt a cold, heavy presence approaching him, and that's when he ran, not daring to look back. The experience left him completely shaken. What was most bizarre was that after that night, each of the friends with him started to feel that same sensation of being watched. Though they saw nothing, they felt like something was pursuing them. It was as if something or someone was always lurking at a distance but never close enough to be seen. After that experience, none of them returned to the forest, and Tomas in particular was never the same. Sometimes when he passed near the forest he swore he could hear those whispers again, as if the entities of the place never let him go. The scariest part of these stories isn't just what happened, but the impact they had on the people involved. Imagine being in your own house, feeling watched, but there's no one there. Or being in a forest, hearing whispers and seeing figures in the dark, but unable to explain it. These presences don't always reveal themselves openly. Often they are felt, lurking in the shadows, and the human mind is so vulnerable to the unknown. We don't always need to see something to feel its presence. Fear, anxiety, are enough to bring something into our reality. What's most terrifying is that, when something or someone connects with our mind, the fear doesn't fade over time. It stays, lurking, waiting. The most terrifying part is the feeling of being pursued by something you can't see, but you know is there. Have you ever felt like someone was watching you, only to turn around and find no one? Or like the air around you was heavier, as if something were trying to get closer? Sometimes the scariest thing isn't what you can see, but what you can't. The story of the shadow in the mirror, for example, makes one wonder how many times we are standing in front of a dark entity without even realizing it. Or the experience in the forest where the figures never appear, but you feel their presence, you feel like they're watching you. That's the kind of fear that doesn't let you sleep soundly. After hearing these stories, I can't help but wonder if we're really alone in this world. Dark entities seem to be everywhere, lurking in the shadows. Maybe we'll never see them, but that doesn't mean they're not there. Perhaps they're just waiting for the right moment to show themselves. What's clear is that there's more to this world than we can see or understand. So, the next time you feel that strange sensation of being watched, maybe you'll stop and think, what or who is really by your side? If you've ever experienced something inexplicable or felt pursued by something you can't see, I want to hear your story. Leave a comment below and tell me if you've had any encounters with dark entities or something strange that you can't explain. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more terrifying stories. See you in the next video.